I'm sorry, with you guys placing us so far back, we can't get a proper audio recording. So, is there any way we could get you guys to speak in like a microphone or something? Excuse me?
Everybody sign. Dennis sign. Right. Office responsible. Just give it to Ed.
Would it be okay if I put on the other side? What about on the ground below you guys? Because there's no way I can get a proper audio recording of this hearing.
We have a quorum right now. The meeting is called to order. Are you recording right now, Jay? Yes. The meeting is called to order. This is the Guam Board of Allied Health Examiners. Today is November 8, 2013. President are Mr. Beretta, Dr. Miller, Ms. Paris, Dr. Senanan, Ed Stanley, myself, Amy Balaja, Civil Chrysostom, Dr. Fiolo. Adoption of agenda. Is there any additional to the agenda that is in front of you?
Yes. Speech language assistance updates. There's 6 other names.
That you want to add to?
Yes,
The registry.
please. Yes.
So why don't we, when we come to the registry, new business C, you can add the name in there.
Okay.
So, any other adoption of agenda? Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Is it second? Okay, minutes for review and approval of September 6, 2013. The minutes is in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that, Jim. I forgot that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Not put it there.
Is this?
Yes.
Is yours?
Yes, sir.
You guys got a test once, all right? You got your test. Here, take it back, please.
There's no way I
Take
can.
it back,
There's no way
man.
I can get an audio recording, sir. With
And it becomes mine.
no, there's no
Just
way
take
you
it
can
back.
take it back. I'm just letting you know, sir.
it back.
There's no way I can get an audio recording of today's
It's not
meeting.
my problem, Ben. Take it back.
So it's
Take
not.
it back, Ben.
I am taking it back, so I'm just letting you know that there's no way we can get a proper audio recording. Is there any way we could have people speak into a microphone, sir, or an amplifier? Because they're speaking directly to the wall, and we're just trying to make sure we get what's said at this meeting, sir.
The session is now in order, and at this point, I would like to acknowledge our legal counsel, Mr. Rob Weinberg. And at this point, we are reviewing the minutes. Do we have a set of material for Mr. Weinberg?
It's okay if they don't want us to be able to record. They must be hiding something.
Motion?
So,
To accept, right? That's written.
Yes, all right. Okay, is that a discussion for the minutes? Any deletion, addition, or question?
I'll second. Sybil's motion to.
Approve the minutes. All in favor of approving minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Objection, none. Let's move to old business. We have a legal counsel present, so Mr. Weinberg, is any new items that the board likes to hear from? Any new items?
I don't.
Old item,
Old items, I don't.
outstanding items that you want us to come back to?
I don't have anything, but if you have any questions throughout, I'll be able to answer.
Okay, let's move to Dr. Martinez, disciplinary action compliance. And I understand that Dr. Martinez has submitted some material to prove his compliance. So at this point, Dr. Miller,
He has a deadline, I think, of December 31st, and there's some question about the letter of apology to Vivo certificate. So I think probably the proper thing to do, he's got 2 more months to fulfill this. I would just table this until maybe the first meeting of January. That way we'll know what's in there. So there's really nothing to discuss because it's still an ongoing process. So I'd recommend just tabling it for now, and we'll just wait and see what comes up.
so Dr. Miller is suggesting that we table the compliance issue of Dr. Martinez to January's meeting. So I have a letter from Dr. Statler. Dr. Statler represents Take Care, and Dr. Statler is really requesting information concerning about Dr. Martinez because they were informed by National Practitioner Bank of disciplinary action against Dr. Martinez. So I have written a letter and attached two of the letter that to Dr. Martinez on his public recommend, and they will be attached. So I'll just pass it if you're interested. Basically, my letter to Dr. Statler is to answer concerning about what happened. He said, is there any complaint, so I just kind of like rewrote this. The board first investigated various complaints brought forth by individuals based on stipulated finding of fact and conclusions of law. The board took action, negotiated settlement with Dr. Martinez in the presence of his attorney. So second, there are 2 disciplinary actions that he received from the board. First was a reprimand issued January 13, 2012. The second was issued January 3rd, 2013. So if I'm going to attach the 2, this is the thing I do, because I couldn't answer some of the questions. So that's the letter that's going to be sent, attaching the reprimand letter as well as the advertisement that I printed out from the newspaper that in compliance with just one part. Any questions on Dr. Statler's letter? Okay.
Actually, I apologize. There was one more thing. Martinez, I just got mixed up because there's a lot of stuff going on with him. So. On the previous meeting, there was the issue of the coupon, and then there was going to be a letter of concern, right? And so I brought that up, and Rob wants to work with me on that.
Is that written?
Well, I tried, but we'll work it out.
Okay.
So that's kind of wrong. So I want to make sure he and I are on the same page. So
I thought that I saw something. It was a draft.
yeah. So
No, it was sent to me.
no, because the minutes here we just read say that Rob had burned on it. And I realized, see, there's so much going on there. I get all these issues mixed up. Anyway, just trust me. For the coupon part, the letter hasn't gone out yet. I'll make sure that
That's a copy the copy was already given to him.
oh, yeah.
That came from you. I think there's just so many things going on, but that is the copy that he
Okay,
received.
I apologize because
He received, that came from both of you.
And I see, you're jogging my memory now.
yeah, I know it gets. Again, my apologies. It gets kind of confusing. There's things coming from.
Yeah, I think
different
there's so
directions.
many things.
So that's a pretty.
So this is, so it's resolved.
Yes,
Or it's-
yes,
Okay.
yes. So now
That's
we
good.
can think of, okay, that's
Thank
what
you
you
for correcting.
Okay. So,
That's getting a bit confused.
yeah, this letter was delivered and received September 17th. Received by the staff at his clinic. Okay, this needs to be Xerox copy. Okay,
Okay.
So that's resolved on Dr. Martinez. So right now, I'm gonna turn over the table to you concerning about the update of Dr. Joseph.
I don't know the details, just that I received an email from this Dave Ison's office. Just saying that at the request of Attorney Lujan, everything's been pushed back till after the holidays, September, January. And that's pretty much all we have. Okay.
Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
back to you.
Back to the work group assignment that we talked about. At this point, I think that there's three work groups that are important to the operation of the whole. One is rules that we talked about, writing rules about CE, what is acceptable and what is not. So that's one work group. The other work group is finance. It's very important that we put about the finance of this board, what is really the amount of money required to operate reasonably, let's say. And I think the finance part sometimes may be able for the office, maybe could be put together with other boards, because the general operation administration of HPLO is really concerning all the boards, but then there are some requirements that in order for this board to function in effective and adequate manner, we need some funding. As of right now, the money collected is not enough to even lease a Xerox machine. Yeah. So
I have a question. This may be a legal issue, I think. If a company, healthcare company, wants to come in and say adopts a updated computer system, adopts by replacing the Xerox machine, does that create a conflict of interest? Because the new hospital has approached people, they want to do goodwill from Guam or something like that. And I just mentioned, guys, you should really talk to the AG's office and see if it's allowable. But the big, what they call it, gorilla in the room or elephant in the room, is the fact that Marlene's boards, all the boards are so underfunded, and this hospital is going to open. They're going to need probably a couple hundred licenses, and most of them go through the medical board. If that hospital was to say, okay, we'll help fund by upgrading your phone system, and we'll buy you a Xerox machine, does that create a lot of legal issues?
Well, there are legal issues. I remember, you remember recently the school system, and had free internet service that was going to get given to them, given to a school. I think they won the contest, like GPA or something. And they had to reject the kickback. I have to look at the statute to see whether we're in a position to accept gifts. A lot of times in the legislation, things that create public corporations usually allow authorized them to accept gifts. So,
that idea had kind of floated by, but it never went past the idea stage because there's too much potential legalities. Just let us know, because I think they've got their roof board and they're putting in windows,
So what? Does somebody want to give the Allied Health Board or?
No, it was nothing more than an inference. Not Allied Health, it would be the Bureau of Professional Support Services. If they had a wish list, the question would be, could this hospital fulfill some of those wishes? I wish for a new photocopier, I wish for a new fax machine, that type of thing. Obviously, it's going to help them, because if they want to get 200 or 300 people right with that license, there's going to be a huge crushing backlog once those people start getting their applications. The other day the internet was down, right? Still down. Yeah. So there's lack of funds to use still, and sometimes they can not funds for hardware. At this stage,
I think the perceptions on that particular thing, just the presumptions going to be, it's going to be no, presumptions can be rebutted.
Well, that's kind of thought.
So our legal counsel will research. Are you going to take a look at that and let us know?
Well, I tell you what, if the new hospital wants to make an offer, they can get the research. I'm not going to research on it exactly. It's not,
That's
speculation.
Right,
And
okay.
it can't be in lieu of something else. It's a, has
Of
to be
ours.
outright.
Yes. Licensing all that.
Well, that's potential. I mean, underlying assumption sometimes.
Okay, that's, all right, we can move on.
Okay, so we have three work groups, rules with CE, needs to be the finance and the complaint. The complaint, because not every single disciplines are represented in the board. So, suggested by our legal counsel that perhaps if there's a complaint against a chiropractor, it makes sense to have a chiropractor person, representative, to take a look at that complaint with the legal counsel, or a respiratory therapy would do that. How that's going to impact, then that could, review that, and there's merit, of course, to bring it to the board. But it's just going to go through, see through that instead of bring it here and then all of us get it, involved. So what do you think about that as far as the complaint is concerned? Now, if it is something related to the board member, then of course somebody else will take a look at that complaint, not that person.
I have a question.
Legal counsel.
Oh, hi, Marlene.
Let's
This is-
acknowledge
hi.
Molly Cavalito at this point.
This is for Rob. So Rob, if a complaint comes in, does the public have the right to know what the complaint is and what the complaint's about? Because this is just not this board, but in other boards, we attach a complaint number to it, we present it before the board, and so the public gets to hear about it. So in this instance, I'm just asking, what is your legal opinion
Okay.
as far as complaints are in
Generally, y'all got throwing some questions at me in open session like this. Give me a little advance notice so I can look it up.
Yeah,
General
I
presumption
understand.
is what?
I said, I understand, I don't expect you to answer it. It's
General
just a
presumption
question
is
to know.
yeah, but I can see instances where somebody is wants to come to the board or to the board, a board, not just this board, in confidence and say, hey, look, somebody's going to approach. So, the presumption of all things is that once it crosses that threshold downstairs, it's a public record. There are exceptions, including investigations, including, and I have seen instances where there are complaints made in confidence. I don't want to give my name, but, and then the board, not just necessarily this board, but other boards and other boards I know, have to look at it and go, well, can we take this on and investigate it? This is something that we need that person to come forward. If we need that person to come forward and they won't, then we need to drop it. So it's not a one-size-fits all. If we have something, if we're receiving money, somebody's asking us to keep it in confidence, as with just about everything that you ask today, it's a case by case.
We do ask that when you present a complaint, and this is in general, that it be in writing, and that the parties be identified, only so that the board can investigate appropriately, as well as the AG, if it warrants that.
Some boards do have a policy, I don't get into one on here, but some that they will not act on or investigate a complaint unless it is in writing and pushed through in court. I do not subscribe to that as a good policy. I don't advocate that. I recommend it to there are times when, especially the healthcare professionals, we need to be able to look into something. If we get something that's anonymous, figure out for ourselves, figure out for yourselves, if it's something we can pursue.
If that matter, then I think maybe we need to take it case by case. But I think in general, I think people need complaints in writing. And if they want protection, I think that would be up to the legal counsel to look at the merit of it.
Generally speaking,
Yeah.
yes, but it's best. I can see it both ways. And this is the kind of thing that would be good actually for any consolidating this complaint work group with most just have this part of that to sit down and look at, and then we can look at and do some background research with the work group and say, come up with some models of rules that as to how we handle the process with complaints.
Mrs. Stanley has a question.
I foresee a couple of potential problems, and I just sort of listening. So, if we do something, especially a complaints group, if we're having a meeting, say, of 3 personnel board on this complaints committee, and they meet to discuss complaints, and that in and of itself, does that become a meeting and subject to open law? This thing has to be published in advance and minutes taken, and just like a regular board meeting. Just food for thought. Another thing, if this committee, say of 3 people, or whatever number we decide, is empowered with the ability to look at a complaint, decide its merits, and either pass it on to the full board or reject it, again, there's got to be some transparency there, because you have Joe Public saying, where did my complaint go? Oh, those 3 people have a secret meeting disposed of. Just food for thought.
Can you address that? We're taking the last one first. Yeah, that's good to do. And I don't know if we have a statute, or if it's just good practice, that if we receive a complaint, that it should be received, documented, logged in, and we should start tracking it. So that's going to require some stuff on the support staff. And I'm actually trying to work with the staff in terms of creating separate filing systems to log in and track. They don't have it established yet. It's a nascent stage. In answer to the open government, subject to open government working group, the general answer is no, and the reason is that so long as the working group is not making any decisions, thank you. Yeah. The Open Government Act does address that. It says things like chance encounters, or we have to speak about that. But generally, the consequence for not complying with the Open Government Act is that whatever is done is void. Since the work group is in the government recommendation.
Are executive sessions related by
Executive sessions are a separate part of the executive sessions are exceptions, specifically regulated exceptions to the open government.
Put that in the handle complaints in the meeting, remove them, investigate, and then
Complaints made. Oh, this is off the top of my head. That's not cooperating with me right now. There's something important to check with this. Generally, investigations are exceptions. Investigations into regulatory matters and things like that. I know because I was just recently looking at police stuff. I have to look at it and see whether a processing of a complaint where it falls. These are all great questions.
My understanding is that executive session pertains to the staff of, employee matters and nothing to do with.
Yeah, for purposes of our purposes, we only 2 broad categories for where executive session applies. One is when we're dealing with employee issues, which we don't really have because we don't have any control over. We don't other than perhaps executive session complain about money and report that out to.
We can.
Yeah, I think you probably could. Yeah. So if you'd excuse that, no. The other is when you're going to discuss litigation. And that has an exception to the exception, which is that we have to keep the tape recorder going. 6 months after the litigation is concluded, the transcript of that is publicly available. It's a mess. It basically means for lawyers that attorney-client privilege between me and my clients is abrogated 6 months after litigation. That is anathema to sense lawyers. So the point here is that you generally don't. The executive session is not something we're going to go much into. the sensibility of it is that for some reason, is that elsewhere in the world, people go into executive session, and maybe in the private sector they do, to talk about the good name and character. So we kind of would bring that to this meeting here, and we think that ought to apply, and regrettably it doesn't. It's an overly broad thing, but because we don't get that third reason, that catch-all reason in our statute, it's just not another ordinance. Generally, all these things, and it's uncomfortable. But generally, we have to talk about it.
So one more quick question. So if you have like 10 members of board, 15 so professions. So say there's a thing is physical therapist, a student, physical therapist, 15 on the board. Could a board member approach the Physical Therapy Association?
I think that's a creative solution. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but I think it's a good creative solution to perhaps bringing in somebody from the profession. Ultimately, what would happen is this. The reason that I recommend, I've done this where I've done it, the reason that I recommend that the board member associated with the profession be the one to investigate is that that's the one who's the professional. That's the one who knows what the standard of care is, the standard of practices in that profession. Also, it automatically puts that board member in the investigator/prosecutor role, which automatically takes that board member out of the adjudicated role, the judging role, because you can't do both. Investigator, prosecutor, and also sit in judgment. So automatically being out of that, that person is the one who is advising the lawyer in what is the standards of the profession. In the case where we don't have a professional on the board to do that, or sometimes there might be a conflict, or maybe that person is the person who's being complained about in the first place. Then the board needs to find somebody who's going to advise the lawyer on what is the standard of the profession. So maybe going to the professional association and getting somebody.
Where is the national association? So then it takes it away from the law.
Well, that's just tough. I mean, that's just
the way it is.
Yeah, we've got to bite the bullet on that part of it. But going outside, going to the associations to get professional expertise or advisement is good.
All right.
I have a question. So how soon are we going to form this group? Or is it going to be in our next session? or-
Right now.
Right now? Sure.
Because I think that we really need to have a work group come together and take a look at things and rather than just discuss it, just the work and then bring it to the full board. I think we need to, and I know that in the past we have come together and talked about, we're in the work groups before. So I think the complaint right now, there's no work group except that the person who can write it as a general operating procedure, that person who's a complaint against, let's say, Chiron, and of course the chiropractor will be talking over with our legal counsel. But see, I also see that is that you're losing the board member's expertise if that person becomes investigated. We can always take a look at, asking another chiropractor to be the advisor to the legal counsel. I guess it has to depend on the situation. If being that bombs are small, I know that any complaint, that the whole world of Cairo know already who it is and what happened, because it's just so small. So I think that we have to deal with it as it comes along. How you're going to go about, but I think just general rule when you write it out is that if somebody makes a complaint against psychology, then we decide how we're going to deal with this. Whether sitting for a member is going to be the future person sitting on his hearing, or excuse and have somebody come in to be called. I want to discuss this when it comes to miscellaneous.
Can I make a suggestion that you form your complaints committee and discuss it in committee mode?
That's what I was gonna ask, we need to.
Come up with a plan from your committee's recommendation and what works best for everybody.
Can I just say something else? You know, Rob did make a very interesting, just recently, a friend of mine filed a complaint against her sister-in-law out of moral character because her sister did something illegal. So she filed a complaint with the Florida Licensing Board for Nursing. And the Florida Board wants her to put in formal writing the complaint. They're not accepting anonymous complaints. And so in order for them to proceed, it has to be in formal writing. And as a result of that, here's the sister and the sister-in-law now up against each other because of something that she's trying to do that's right. So that's something that he mentioned that to me is something to consider when you are forming, putting a committee together, how are we going to handle this, whether it's going to be anonymous, formal, or both.
I think that it has to, again, kind of like intertwine working with the other group of the groups, writing how to go about processing and all that stuff. So anyway, I know that we meet once a month, but then also we need to give some time to be, for the other matters that's really sometimes brought down during our regular board meetings. I mean, it should be smoothly going fast because the time frame for people are plenty. So,
So would a work session be appropriate then to do something like this? Instead
to
of
discuss
to
first.
discuss?
Yeah, so you have some time to discuss it and bring it. But then also we need some rules to take a look at what's best at the board as a whole, because if it is, you don't want to jeopardize the role of the board member and then later on cannot sit. That's some rules has to be sit in hearings, that's why.
So then maybe a work session is appropriate first, so to get our committees
To see whether,
yeah.
if any complaints coming in is, merit attention, or it could be, for example, is related to one what Dramal sometimes about financial, and then, complain about the financial. I mean, it's not the board's business that there's a dispute between, two chiropractor financial, and then it becomes a full-blown problem, remember? I mean, things like that.
Yeah, of course.
It's just so messy. Yeah, we want to be able to kind of like work it out so that it's systematic to go down the road. So anyway, you need to really think about spending time, how much you can devote this. Finance, I think, is easy. Rules can be quite because yeah, and then with complaints. So I think the rules and complaint, it might come together. We need to write a lot of rules. And then our legal counsel, who's an expert in writing rules, will help us to put it together and move it. Yeah, I think, right? So these are the three groups, but it doesn't mean that it's separate in itself. It could be sometimes together. Yeah. I don't want to pressure people right now, so I'm not saying anything about how we're going to work this, but it definitely has to move on. And we'll report the names of those people in the work group at this meeting. December 6th. Okay. The renewal application of Dolores Tyron. The reason why it's under old business because Ms. Tyron, IMFT right now, was talked about at the last meeting and it wasn't moved forward because of her question about her CE. So Mr. Peretta.
Yeah, I've reviewed her the renewal application. She's in previously licensed IMFT, allowed her license to lapse due to extenuating circumstances requiring her to go offline and such. So, but she's reapplied and she has met the deficient requirement of the number of CEUs required to renew her license. So she's good now, and so I'm going to go ahead and recommend that she be approved for renewal.
So we're going to vote on Ms. Tyron because it's a separate issue from the new business, okay? So it's recommended that we, for renewal of Ms. Dolores Tyron for individual marriage and family therapist. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, we move to new business. There are various applications. First, on clinical site is Dr. Ferger. Here is, if you wanted to look at the file. Dr. Ferger currently is a licensed IMFT already. The reason why she is not psyched after finishing school was because she hadn't taken her PPP without new, current statute. Yeah. So she has done so, and it's passed, and she has submitted also, based on our current application guidelines and requirements, she has submitted all the required documents, a recommendation, and postdoc internship estimate. So I recommend that Dr. Berger be granted.
Show up to us.
Yes, so she can choose to retain whatever. Okay.
Very good.
So let's move on to respiratory therapy on Kayla Pruitt.
Okay, Taylor Pruitt, so far everything is together with their application. I just have I need clarification here. Because all the other applicants had everything except Kayla. And this is in reference to her birth certificate. There's a part that says notarized copy of birth certificate or notarized statement. The application is older than 18 years of age. And then there's another portion here that says proof of one for U.S. residents of U.S. citizenship. Okay? The only thing she has in this file is her passport, which does have her date of birth and shows she's a U.S. citizen. So, can we accept that? Okay. And then there's another portion here, the fingerprinting, the background checks. There's nothing here. So, we're still not. Okay.
Her police report,
She has to.
that's fine. Okay, fingerprint is something from the past.
Okay. So, we're going to
That was an issue that.
I know we still have to issue.
Okay, so we recommended Kayla. The next person is Jerry Shandell Vallis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Vallis.
I've got that. So you answered my first question with the first certificate portion.
This is an OT, right?
Yes, yes. My next question is, it says police clearance from last 3 places of work. I guess she didn't work anywhere, so that's okay. Whatever. So I can cross it off the list.
What is that? Police
The
clearance?
police clearance from last 3 places of work, so she didn't work.
She still needs a police clearance.
I've got one from Guam, but I don't know. I mean, unless you can show me.
No, why?
Yeah. Guam is good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's within last, if it's, okay, so.
So that,
So
within the
okay.
last 3 years?
Just one,
Is that it? She's lived here within the last 3 years?
within 1 year. She
Yeah,
just went back.
well,
So I need that clarified. So that's good? Okay. And then endorsement letter from licensing authority, I believe I've got that. So that, but thank you for that. Thank you, my question.
so you recommended.
She didn't work before.
No, not that I can tell.
How far back is her police clearance go?
It's, I think it's just recently that she just moved back.
Okay, and where did she live before that?
She was in Illinois.
Does she have a police clearance from Illinois?
No, that's why I was asking. Because it says here, police clearance from last 3 places of work.
Yeah, residents.
It doesn't say places, it just says places of work.
What's the statute?
Does she list her other work for Illinois?
She was, she did have one. This is her
Does she ever work before coming?
skills, additional training, she just got training and experience. Not that I can tell, that's why I wanted to clarify.
When did she graduate?
May, wait, this is, this criminal record was September 24, 2013. I think that
Guam.
meant a month. Hang on a second. This, okay, she did, that's where I mentioned. She does have a place of work there. It is from letter of recommendation on an inpatient occupational therapy. This was September 4th. This was, Illinois, Chicago bench. And then, yeah, that's what I was.
Right, please.
This was the top, this was the top.
form is, you said the form says not places of work, not places of residence. Is that just a checklist on the form?
That's just a checklist. That's why I wanted to verify.
Or we should put that on the list of things to do, because it's consistent with our statute. It's not. Statute says police clearance from Guam, police department. If the applicant has resided on Guam for more than a year, the applicant has resided on Guam for less than a year, police clearance from the applicant's most recent place of residence. That's what our statute says. So she's been on Guam less than a year.
From what I can make out, she was here at least in September. So,
December of this year?
So another question is, if you had Guam police clearance, are people in the FBI system, so pretty much not.
When you do with the Guam Police Department, you're just looking at the other things.
Oh, really? It's basically with her.
It's not like I've seen that TV. Yeah.
I think the court probably is more updated than the police department.
What's that?
The court.
No, the court's only gonna have what's in its court records, which is
So what if you look for your record somewhere in the world?
you gotta go back to those places. Now, the NCI's, the National Criminal Information Center, that stuff that you see on TV,
Yeah, the Interpol.
well, that's Interpol is international.
Okay, so
So,
that's
yeah. So,
NCIS.
all of these application things here for these background checks, you kind of like fail to take into account the reality of the situation. You go to GBD, that's one source of, do you have any investment in their records? You go to the courthouse, that's another source, but that's only local, it's only stuff here. Right? Now, one of the advantages of going to these national things where you do the fingerprints and stuff is they submit for international background checks. We're not allowed international background checks. The arrest records, convictions, court records, and these things. So some of the other boards like Dennis or which other ones are actually looking at retaining outside services to do this background checks.
I think that should be a general, the general, what do you call it? That should be a general rule for all boards.
That's in our article, maybe fingerprint
Can be is not the same thing as is required. So that's something we would want to add to our rules list of making a uniform background check. And it's not easy to just, you can't just like go down to the GBD and ask them to run a national background check for the arrest records and stuff. You can't do that. There's only other law enforcement officers so they won't do it for you.
The courts.
You have to have it in the
I want to discuss that since I went to training time. I can do something. Okay, so then we have to, we table this till next, because you need to get it from Illinois, the city, the county, whatever, sheriff's office. Okay, so we hold on. So let's move to, Mr. Matthew Pierce, PA. Mr.
Matthew Pierce, his application appears to be complete with the exception of private practice agreement. So he is okay for licensure, but not for private practice agreement.
Which is down the side, which is,
Well, but it's not there.
oh, okay.
He does not have a current private practice agreement.
That's what you're saying, this is the application.
To be licensed.
CPA is like application.
Correct.
Okay, that- okay.
Private practice agreement application.
Okay, that, we'll go to the next one. Okay, so you're saying that his license is okay?
He would be okay for licensure, you just gotta have privileges as it applies to private
Okay,
practice.
that'll be the next, B, under B.
Okay, understood.
Okay, so he's fine.
Yes.
So Melanie Mayfield, PA.
Also fine.
Okay. So now, let's vote on applications. Mary Ferguger for clinical psychology, Kayla Pruitt for respiratory therapy, Mr. Matthew Pierce for PA, Melanie Mayfield for PA. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. It's approved. Now let's go to CPA. The CP now, let's go to Mrs. Melanie Mayfield.
Ellen Mayfield, her CPA is okay to be submitted to the commissioner boards.
So we need to sign it so that, because I understand that the board meets next week.
Right, and there has to be a cover letter put on it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, next is Matthew Pierce for CPA.
There's no CPA.
So, okay,
And I've notified Dr. Long that that is
so Dr. Long.
and she will be submitting.
Okay. So this is gonna be
Table.
out, yeah. So how about Mr. Ray Takaji, PA?
This is, okay.
In order?
He's already left.
Yeah, he's been licensed for a while,
What
right?
is the CPA?
He practices within the military, so he doesn't need a CPA, so we should not go and ask him. But if he's going to be, he's also going to do some work apparently at
Guard?
the doctor's clinic.
Oh, Dr. Slade.
But the guard is still part of the military. When he works for the guard, he doesn't need
Right, correct.
long unless he sends prescriptions to local pharmacies. Because he would have a CPA.
Okay, let's vote on the CPA for Ms. Melanie Mayfield and Mr. Ray Takaji. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, now let's move on to registry for speech language assistant. We're going according to the law says assistant, right? Okay, so, I have here Brianna Titano on the agenda, but we also add on the other people name, what are the names?
Yes, I reviewed Berlin Daniel, Lisa.
Slowly, Marlene, Bertie,
And
M. How do you spell it?
MERLEEN.
Daniel,
And
Deniel.
yeah, Daniel.
Who's the next one?
Lisa Aclavea,
How do you spell Aclavea?
ECLAEA.
Okay, the next one.
Francis with a C, Mino.
And
Liz Napoli,
how do you spell Napoli?
NAPOLI.
Anybody else?
John Payne, PAYNE.
Okay.
Joe Sands,
Joe is what?
SANZ.
J-O.
Joseph
Oh, Joseph.
Sands, SANZ.
Okay. That's it?
And Maria.
Okay, so we're looking at approving the registry of Brianna Taikino, Merlin Daniel, Lisa Valera, Francis Meno, Liz Napoli, John Payne, and Joseph Sands. All in favor of the registry, say aye. Opposed? None. We all know about the registry, right? Which is registering with the board that has been sanctioned and approved by the board for the purpose of Department of Education.
Please go back to the level.
Okay, so let's move on to the D, item D, CE approval of Ms. Jenny Tatao OT. Now, my understanding was, who has reviewed it, right? So, simple review that she's submitting, this for the board's approval of her CE of 7 hours that occurred October 1 to 31, 2013, my understanding. So,
She just wants to know if you're cool with that
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, she has a synopsis of the course. It was pretty thorough on autism and occupational therapy. So, it seems like a very thorough, production and,
is this CE for next cycle, for 2014 December, right?
she doesn't mention it.
She just wants to make sure it's accepted.
Yeah. So, you're saying this,
So I think it's acceptable.
okay, all in favor of approving the CE of Ms. Tatao? Opposed? Okay, very good. Now, let's move into quickly, we only have 5 minutes on miscellaneous. October 16 to 20, I attended the ASPBB annual meeting. And it was a very good meeting, and here's all the pens I took from Las Vegas for you. ASPBB is also connected to FARC, the Federation, which comprises of all the disciplines. ASPBB is only psychology, but many of the stuff that was talked about pertain to all boards, actually.
So the title or the agenda for this meeting is the first time I ever went through. It's concerning about discipline. So it was a very enlightening. So I have, so I learned quite a bit. And the things that we talked about, I want to say our legal counsel is correct.
Well, is that painful to
Have
say
we
that?
ever doubted?
You know, that's the problem. You tell them and you tell them, and they gotta go out on the street to learn it, what you've been telling them.
I never opposed you, Mr.
You
Weinberg.
never have, you always
But,
yes.
but I think that we really need to put together, but also I learned that the same thing that what he was saying is that when you investigate, you know, you cannot be sitting and under hearing as well. But because we are a small group of people that we need to really seek out as to who's going to be part of the investigation and who's not. And that brings me that this office really is working on nothing, not even can afford McDonald's drink because the whole HPLO should have its own full-time investigator to go out rather than, you know, putting a lot of burden on the AG's office. So investigation is very important. The one thing that brought back is that it is better not to approve application for licensure than it is to approve and later on discipline. So on top of that, you know what I'm saying? Okay, what they're advising is that you should do thorough investigation for any applications. So it is easier to not to approve it, you know, that we refuse approval of application than it is for later on to take the license away.
I
And on top
thought you
of,
said we should never approve.
Yeah, I took that kind of personally.
this is not personal now, right?
But
Okay.
now that you mention it.
Yeah. The other part is this, is that ASPPB is only pertaining to psychologists. They do have the service in which that we connected with them. They do the background of the credentials of individuals. It is something I think that we should make use of that service, not for this board because we have different disciplines, but for psychologists. And the person who's the applicant, they pay for that service. Just like what you were mentioning, that, you know, the person who pay for the service, pay before before it comes before the food board for approval. The certain service, the background check, I think we were talking about just earlier, but, well, I don't know. I guess your face looks so nice today, so that's why. Okay, so there are services out there in which that the board can avail to it to ask for investigating a person's the background, and then that whole full information will come to the board, and they make it easier than for us to check on it, and then unless we heard something, and then we check on it, you know, a lot of taxing to the office and to the board. So that's something we should think about. Also, I met the person in charge of FAR,
What is it for?
Federation Regulatory Board. What does A stand for?
Association.
Federation Association.
Federated.
Federation Association and Regulatory Board.
I was asking the Attorney General's office. That's a conversation.
Anyway, they meet twice a year, and the individual is an attorney. They work a lot of, it's a really good organization that gives advice to all the boards. And they remember that Ms. Crisostomo, when she was board chair, invited them to come to Guam to do a training, and he said, "What happened to that?" I said, "I don't know." But I think that it might do well that they come to give training to all boards. Also, on top of that, they do have specific training for legal counsel that represent the board. And I also highly recommend that board members attend the FAR training. So that's all I have to say. It was a very, it was time well spent, and I was happy to hear all cases, examples of cases that come before all the boards, and also, you know, what action the boards took on it. I mean, I was amazed at some of the things that people do.
Dr. Belanger, do you have a flyer for the next FAR?
I don't have the FAR, but it's
Conference
on
or
the
training?
it's on the net.
So we can check and see if
But
Mr. Rob.
But usually we have a flyer for FART. And another thing too is to talk about finance. I think we need to really see if we can get money that board members can go attend FART. But the next ASPPB is going to be in San Antonio. But I don't know. I have looked at it and the agenda to see what it is. But I thought, yeah, I've been to San Antonio, so it's nothing biggie. But I thought that what I learned was something that was of big value. So I'm going to share this with you. It is, this is to vote for somebody that they do, you know. So as a delegate, what happened is that you also vote for officers. So I was sitting as a delegate. So these are my notes that I took, so I can share with you during our work groups that item comes up. So I don't want to, you know, really put too much time on here. So I just think that it is important that staff member HPLO and board members, all the board members attend FART, and then a special session for our legal counsel, that person should also attend FART, because it's just so much material is valuable to, you know, guide us into to our role as a board member. Okay, so that's the last of the.
I have a question. So, was it last week in the paper that Senator BJ Cruz is introducing bills as no doctor or healthcare professional can be relicensed until they're cleared for medical practice?
I understand that is true.
And then how much burden would that put on those boards? Do they have to come in with a piece of paper for that tax?
That would be additional to the checklist, and I guess that is another thing too. In fact, I'm glad you brought this up, because lo and behold, in there, it was also talked about that. They talked about about tax, about owing money, and it is pertaining to your own local, statute. So now with BJ Cruz come about, it is something that they talked about, that you want to check also, that before you grant license or renewal, that they're up to date with the obligation, not only child support, but also with taxes.
I just want to make sure that doesn't put a burden upon our staff. We should be running taxes or
No, it is the
licenses,
acronym.
Yeah.
Just like when you go for your house, you go to Public Works and all that.
Just get some stamp.
So you have to go to part of
That's
the,
actually a pretty good idea.
part of it is that you have to go to revenue tax to get a stamp that says, you don't owe anything.
Make
Yeah.
sure.
So there's going to be a local, which is going to take over the question, should we as a board member.
All right.
Can I
Okay.
say something? I just learned that from the data bank that when I'm reporting, I need to also report on those that were denied a license to practice on the law for whatever reason. If it's administrative, then I don't have to report. But if it's because of what they
Court
did
action.
in the mainland or some arrest, or I need to report to the data bank, even though they're not licensed on the law. Just like that.
If they were denied here,
There are,
License and relicensure.
You have an applicant applying for license or relicensure and you deny them, I have to report that to the data bank as well. As long as it's not an administrative reason why, because they're lacking CEU, but it's because they did something in another state or they did something on Guam, and that's why you don't want to.
so if they do something in the States, we still should report them
I need to report them if you denied their license,
based on.
denial of licensure.
But then we all know that there are several people that throughout the time that I can recall in life that they were denied license.
So you need to add to the list besides the ones you already gave me, I need to add
I have
one
to,
in.
yeah, I went
I'm
through
sorry.
the email.
I just found that out.
some of those were denied licensure, they were,
One was asked, talking about chiropractors, one was asked not to reapply. And then the other one was applying for a ritual license,
yeah.
was asked to pull it back.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't happen.
Did you deny him license?
No,
No,
no, we're talking about,
As long as you
he decided
deny
to
somebody a
withdraw.
license and it's non-administrative purpose.
because if he would have been denied, it would have been with the data bank. And this was his first license. He was just made a mistake. So we we actually.
Sounds like an administrative thing, right?
Yeah, but that person is practicing Saipan. Should
Right.
they like know? Her advice on what about what
None of our
number?
business, he withdrew his license.
No,
Saipan's another
he,
country.
he
It's another
withheld,
country.
he withheld
But they found
information.
They're not under the ban.
He withheld information, so if he reported that information to
They
Saipan,
are.
That's not just like.
Saipan is
that's
part of the
Saipan.
thing, right?
They are more.
They report to that bank? Okay, but they are another country, so if this is a US law, does that?
We're not another country, sir.
We're US.
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth of Illinois.
Commonwealth of the United States.
It's a U.S. territory.
It's not foreign.
It's not foreign. Okay, I need to get that.
Right, so,
Yeah.
thank you for
I'm
this.
just a separate. What are we talking about
What do you mean by administrative?
So,
Explain it like if, you denied him because he was in the CEUs
Oh.
or.
Oh, that administrative.
No, but based on criminal.
But just so you're clear on that chiropractor, yeah, he made a mistake. He didn't write down that felony. It was a teenager, right?
No, but we discovered it.
We discovered it the last one. And so when we went into recess, the suggestion was just withdraw your application. So you might correct me. The way I look is that application was withdrawn. Our business would be closed. And we withdrew it, so he would not be reported.
He
We would have denied that license.
He would-
Yeah,
That's
he
his
would, he
decision.
withdrew it.
Her condition.
Yeah.
Are you looking at me?
I don't
National
know.
Register Data Bank has something to say about withdrawal of applications. So.
Will we find out what it is?
How recent is this? You got
It
some
was
recent
about
case?
last.
Just last 2 years.
Somebody was, he withdrew an application, he had a felony during his teenage years,
Same thing as right now.
rector, rector.
Okay, rector.
Well, teenage years being like it was a juvenile case, it was
Right.
sealed, or it was.
Right, so what
Wasn't
happened,
sealed.
actually, Roger, what's his name? Is inside that man?
Jonathan Goings.
Yeah, okay, so Dr. Goings comes, you weren't here. At the very last minute before his application was heard, somebody gave her a police record.
Who is that person, if I may ask? Well, we're not taking stuff from
So
those
this
bodies.
is the certificate. And so you had it to be, and so we asked this question, are you the same person who's on this police record? No. It was pretty much a shock to him. So essentially what happened was he didn't divulge that information. But he's a really good guy, and he just made a mistake when he was a kid. But now all of a sudden it's all come crashing down for last minute. So the suggestion, because the board would have denied his licensure because he lied on his application. So my suggestion.
You don't know.
Well,
I mean, you don't, I mean, it might have been a mistake or something. You didn't follow through on it. You didn't call him in front of the board. and
so
say-
he was there.
He
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, he was there. It was very emotional. So what we did, and my suggestion was to offer him a chance to withdraw that application so it would not be this cloud hanging over his head for a silly mistake he made and a deliberate mistake by not reporting it. And that's the way it ended up. So the way I'm looking at it is because he withdrew his application, we really have nothing to do with it. That application was withdrawn. That's the way I think it should be. He's not germane to the sport.
So it was not denied, he was allowed to unapply.
Unapply. The last,
Dave
because it would have been it would have been a big sad
Yeah,
thing.
and Dave was there because he did
Dave
sign,
did, yeah.
he did sign that I withdraw my application. He did sign a statement on the end, he signed. I mean, it's over, so we could do better this time for a lot of people. But there are a lot of people that did withdraw.
Right. But my point was when it comes to the national practitioner
Oh, did
strategy,
not withdraw.
because he withdrew, you have nothing to report.
And my point is, you need to look at that practice Dave Bank, because I know that the national practice Dave Bank has something on that subject.
Good.
It may not, I need to look at it, again, I'm having trouble with it, otherwise.
That's fine, could you take a look at it and let us know then? what your opinion is, or what you found.
Marlene,
Better.
can we figure out how to frame this so that
Yeah, I've got a to-do list for Rob.
Okay.
You want an executive session, right? Clarification.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the executive session on. He probably comes to discussing when talking to council in the executive session.
Okay. Anything else on the miscellaneous? No. So, our next board meeting is December 6th. There's no holiday. The holiday is on the 8th, which is going to be a Monday, the 9th. Holiday 8th is Immaculate Conception. Okay, yeah, that's a holiday for the Bahamas. So it doesn't do with that. So December 6th is our next meeting. So motion to adjourn.
I'm so sorry. We did actually submit in writing for a public forum today. Was there going to be any chance for the public to be able to speak? Because I believe a lot of members of the public actually came here to speak. Was anyone come here to speak today?
Well, we're not taking any comment from the public. However, when it comes to asking for a question, I believe that we should have individuals submit it in writing, and we will discuss it among board members, but we will not have a dialogue.
Actually, I did that 2 months ago, Mimi, and I submitted it personally, and you guys haven't discussed it in over 2 months.
If you have something specific that you'd like to address, put it in writing.
I did that, Rob.
Don't interrupt me. Do not interrupt me.
I wasn't.
I'm trying to address your request. And here's how we're going to do it. If you have something specific, a specific topic you would like to address to the board, put it in writing so the board can consider it. If the board thinks it wants to talk to you about it and to solicit your verbal input about it, it can do that. And as you know from that section of the Guam law back there is no requirement under Guam law or under the United States Constitution, just because a meeting is public, that the public has a right to participate in it. That's the law. Okay? If you have a disagreement with my interpretation of that law, you are welcome to go hire or retain your own private lawyer.
My only question, sir, is that your opinion or is that the opinion of the Attorney General?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay, we already,
We're adjourned.
this is a adjourned. Who will
Is there any reason why you won't answer that question, Rob Weinberg?
Here is something maybe you want to take a look at from Harvard on CEs, for members if they're interested.
Yeah, I don't remember, that's why, like, I have yeah, because I think the way they said it was, this is
Just for the camera record, how many people actually wanted to speak today to the Guam Board of Allied Health? Can you please raise your hand? And how many people were actually able to speak?
There's a date on here.
Why are we arresting
Let's have it discussed.
But I did not. See if it's going to be done.
About running background checks,
Yeah.
is that where you want
Yeah.
us to fingerprints?
Yeah, yeah.
How will you do that?
Yeah.
It's not going to technically. That's what you're
You're good.
I just had an email.
That's why I was.
Everybody issue was discussed, I just missed part of that. I just wanted to make sure that everything was up to snuff as far as my David hasn't spoken that much.
Okay.
A couple times this week.
Right.
Because this is the last one, they gave me up until November.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. Sibo?
You're gonna go eat first?
Yeah, I'll let you know. What, everyone's on comment? Should I do this?
So it's already done.
Chronological life history, but it does not give me a file, that's why it's less than.
Oh, yes, I heard.
Right, Hachi.
Oh, you did, okay, it's check. Okay, thank you.
One for Pierce is in there, like I said, I called it yesterday.
Let's put it in here,
And then the second page, she signed it, he signed it, all signed, but all the blocks. So,
Well, why didn't it sign this?
it is signed.
No, but the rest of the stuff, isn't it, people with practice and new drugs? That you supposed to, I don't know.
This practice is written, but none of the drugs are checked, and the schedules. So that's why I said, it's not complete, and I
that's
called
fine.
Lika. So, she'll get that done.
Okay, I want to make sure there's a mark then.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I know, I believe Christmas,
Didn't the last year Christmas you were gone?
but that was late, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right. That's a conference in,
Okay, I'll see you.
somewhere. So you're going, I got to go, I have CMEs in Chicago, and then I have, Bedford Zone Diabetes Control. There's something, one for.
Signed it. That's why I said, I called Lika a while ago. They really, if they want to come out here and check, it still has to come back before next month. Yeah, she knows.
So I'll just show her now.
Yeah. Yeah, if you complete it, and then it has to come back from the board next month. And like I said, she's aware. That's who called me.
Yeah.
I called her earlier, no answer, and I left her a text message.
He actually left.
Oh, that's okay. It's all right.
But I know